You want to shape right away. It just has to do with the physical expression of the music, or the music expressed with a certain physical approach that reflects the music. Okay, so we talked about the falling down motif and then the springing up motif, right? Because you have repeated chords all over the place. In order to avoid the robotic watch. In order to avoid that business of two, same of the sound chords next to each other, like a little bit like linear, one of them has to have a different approach or sound than the other one next to it. I'm talking about the repeated notes. So first of all, even though it says P, I will go a little deeper in the keys, because if you don't, you can't fall down a third and have anything left. So the player has to go, I'm going to read between the lines, and say to yourself, I better be a little deeper on that first sixth, because I have to drop it down in a third, have somewhere to go. So first I would go, now you are listening to the top voice, which you did well. Now this has to fall down. Now this has to spring up. Destination is the long note. Fall down less, think spring up. Most. That's the most there. That's that chord. I'm not going to say what the chord is. We know it's a chord. And then it gets softer. I forgot my flat. And now, okay, destination note is usually the dotted quarter notes. That's where you're headed. You're always headed toward the longest notes. He has that all through the piece, right? He has this one is important. Fall down back to that one. Fall down to most, this one. That's most. And then fall down, because there's a diminuendo there, right? Okay, fall down again, and then spring forward. The other thing you want to do is make a break between, because look how the composer puts a slur of two notes, and then he wants. So make sure you're lifting your hand exactly how the music, right? It sounds like it's a hiccup, but the truth is when you play the pedal, it won't sound much like a hiccup. And here's most. It's most. You can see that it's going into a different key. And then destination. So there's all these destinations are the dotted quarters, but on top of that, you have to drop down, C to A flat, and then the next A flat is springing up to the what? The next dotted quarter. So you want to always think that. Mm-hmm. I would first play it without the pedal, because it's hard to know physically what you're doing with your hands when the pedal gets in the way. That's the next polish on the practicing. The pedal is the polish, really. Here's the pedal. But I'm still doing the same thing with my hand that I planned without the pedal, yes? To there, less, pedal here. Now, you notice the pedal isn't always down all the time either. You gotta be careful you don't get too much pedal anyway. I wouldn't pedal it when I'm first learning it. I would do that last. Do it first without the pedal, maybe a few times, then put the pedal down.
Well,
but then still do what you would have done when you learned the spring down and then spring up. I mean, that's always going to be there with or without pedal, yes? Mm-hmm. You see, you want to avoid that. You want to avoid. You want less, now spring forward. See? Less, spring forward. Finally. It's a beautiful place. It goes to another key. And I'm not going to talk about the names of the keys. I'm just saying another key. That's all. You don't have to know the name. You just have to know, we're in a...
Well, you still can mention them.
What I mean to say is that he builds the intensity by modulating to other keys just in a short time. Four chord, back to A flat, and then to that chord, a sixth chord, F minor, ba ba da ba. Then he's going into this key. Yeah. Here's what he does, watch. I do that because I want to know what he's doing, so I can map for myself what the music is doing. It does two things. It helps me organize the music. It helps me know how to emotionally express the music, because some of the chords are very emotional changes. Like when you go from this to this, it's very beautiful. And the modulation, also very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Forget the theory. Just know that something is changing that you feel, because you're musical enough to go, oh, that's really beautiful over there in that measure. I think the only thing I'm pointing out is to shape the melody down and then bring forward to the destination is the dotted quarter, almost invariably. See, here it is again. There, right? To there, yeah. To there, yes. To there. Then he's back to the beginning. To there. So when you do this hand, just drop down, then spring forward to your destination. Drop down, spring forward to a longer bunch of figures here. Destination. Drop down, spring to there. Getting higher. He's getting higher. Do you know that this is getting higher and getting higher? It's intensifying. Yes? Already, every couple of measures is going higher and higher till he gets to that da da dum bum bum.